When I was a kid, my mom and I took trips out west, and there were Airstreams on the road, and of course they're very iconic, and that was kind of my first exposure to them. It's not somewhere that I live right now, but it's somewhere that I lived for about 4 years. It was a great experience. It was perfect for, having a little capsule, with all your things in it. It was kind of like a Peter Pan adventure. Somewhere between childhood and adulthood, you get to live in an Airstream. I really like the shape of the structure. I think it's a really classic kind of icon that I was excited to redo. I gutted everything. It was really only a shell after I removed everything inside. Pretty much everything that you see has been altered. It was painted entirely in kind of a beigey paint, and I removed all the paint from the end caps. You can still see some in kind of some of the crevices. I liked exposing the rivets and the end caps. I think there's a really nice element of workmanship that can be seen in them. The floor is all cork, which is thin and lightweight and attractive. All of the cabinetry is stuff that I did, This was, I was working with some pretty basic wood tools at the time, so nothing is very complicated, but, there's a series of drawers, and there's even a little spot for the refrigerator right here. I think small spaces are fascinating. You have the ability to think a lot about each little space and to invest kind of a greater amount of energy and money too. Lots of drawers, The pull-out drawers are pretty useful when kind of storing things, make things readily accessible really easily. A lot of these cabinets had to exist simply for the reason that there's a bulb out from the wheel. So this one on this side, just had to be here, because otherwise you'd have kind of an intrusion into the space from the wheel well.
Tell me about the wood you used.
It's a birch plywood. It has a nice light color. I think in small spaces, any opportunity to make the space seem larger, one way that you can do that is by making the space a little bit lighter in color, or just kind of allowing more passage of air or light through the space. This is a coat rack, or kind of clothes hanging. This is where I used to hang. I think my entire wardrobe used to fit in there. I think that living in a small space is a great experience. You have to curate what you have very carefully. When you have an object that you previously did not have, it will be very obvious because there's nowhere to hide it. I think the only significant downfall for me was that I like having people over and entertaining. It's a little bit more difficult to do that in a small space, although people are excited about checking out your space.
Are you able to have guests?
Occasionally.
Yeah.
You've got to like your guests a lot.
And dinner?
Occasionally. Although, yeah, that's the single greatest challenge, really.
Is this kind of like a dinner table would be, or what would you?
Dinner would usually be kind of picnic style on the floor. The skylight, fortunately, was in. Very important, because putting skylights into things is very tricky. All the windows were here. There's no new windows. I would prefer that there would be another window or two. I would think that anybody considering living in a small space would consider affordability a really positive point. I was able to pay off a lot of student loans, by living in the Airstream. I think it's something people really relate to. The idea of living in a small space, the idea of kind of wanting to control your space and wanting to make it manageable. There's a big idea of freedom in there. Freedom from mortgages, or freedom from significant financial constraint, or feeling like you can never move. That's a big thing.